Alright, so this video is an instructional video on how to back up your PS3s. Of course, it's 100% legal to back up your PS3s and any media actually that you own for archival purposes. So we're going to show you how to do that here. Okay, it's pretty straightforward and it's pretty easy. So go ahead and grab your original PS3 disc. And before you even insert it, make sure you go to the game data utility and that any game data that's installed for that game is deleted. In the example we showed you right there, Major League Baseball 13, the show, had two game data things installed. So if that was the case, we would have to erase both of them. Okay. So once all the game data, if you have any game data installed for the game you are about to back up, you have to make sure that that game data gets installed, but only for that game that you're backing up, not of course all of your games. So once you do that, insert the original disc and then pick multi-man, and you will be brought here. We're using an old game, NBA 2K8 as an example, and go to the games column, and the original disc will always be on top of all the others. In this column, any games you have on your internal will show, and if you have any games on USB, they will show when the USB is connected to the external. Hit triangle and then hit copy, and a new window will open up here showing you which destination you want the copy to go to, either your internal hard drive, PS3 HDD, or your external, which will be a USB. In this case, we're going to pick PS3 HDD. And so it'll ask you to confirm whatever choice you make, either USB or HDD. It'll go ahead, it'll copy, and once it's done, it'll say press square to continue, or it'll say completed, press square. It'll bring you back out here, and you'll see two copies of the game. One in a little square will say disk, the other one will say HDD or USB, depending on where you send it to. Okay, and it'll say it in a little square right underneath the title of the game. Okay, and right there where I'm pointing it out to you, so in that little square it'll say disk or USB or HDD, whatever. So go ahead and remove your original disk, and then select the backup you just made with the X button, and it'll bring you back out to the XMB screen. Now once you're on the XMB screen, the game will appear in that folder that said apps/games. That's where it will be replaced. Okay, and then once you hit X here, that should be it. You should be good to go. If there's any game data the game needs to install, it will do it, and that's it. Now you may run into a couple of issues though. Sometimes a game will not start right away. You'll have to decide. You have to try and find out what the problem is. So if your screen freezes on a black screen, if you get an error message, if something like that happens, okay, don't panic. Just go ahead and get out of it, all right? And then you can try doing a couple of things. The first thing is making sure you look at your original disc, that it doesn't have a bunch of fingerprints or scratches, and that it was a good backup, okay? The next thing is that sometimes you need a disc inside for it to work. Doesn't matter which game disc it is, it has to be a PS3 game. So just insert the PS3 game, and once you insert the PS3 game, then pick it from the disk icon instead of the apps game folder icon. Okay, and it usually will boot up that way. Now if that doesn't work, you can go into multi-man, highlight your backup, press the triangle button, and then go into game settings. There's a little window here and you can pick game settings. There's also a shortcut to it by just hitting square when the game is highlighted. You'll be brought into this screen here. Okay, when you're brought into this screen here, you'll see a few things on your left. You'll see some radio buttons. I've marked internal and BD mirror. Assassin's Creed needs those marked in order for it to work, and then you can just hit circle to exit out and then start the game again, and either start it without a disc in it or start it with a disc in it. Try it both ways and see which one works. Also, the game ID is here. It's underneath the picture. You may need that later on, and I'll get to that in a second. Usually the US games start BLUS something, or they'll be BCUS something. Now, once you pick those two options and you come back out here, start the game through the app's game icon, okay, and see now if it starts. If it doesn't, again, insert whatever game disk you have in there that you know works, and then start the game through the disk icon, all right, and see if that works. If that still doesn't work, make sure that you have no game data for that game installed, and if it installed even a little bit of it, erase it. And then what you may want to do is either re-rip the game, or you can download an update. Now, sometimes these games need an update installed first in order to work. So you should have received a step-by-step on how to download the update for a particular game, and how to install it using the install manager here. It would download as a package file. You would go into the package manager, and then you would select that update from your USB. You'll have to transfer that update from your computer to a USB, and then put the USB in the PS3, and pick the package manager and install that update. When you install it, it'll put that update as game data in the game data utility, and then go ahead and redo everything. Try to start the game from the apps game folder, or if you have a disk in there, try and start it from the game disk. And again, sometimes these games only work when they are internal only. So if you have it external and you tried all this stuff, you try installing the update first, you tried it with a disk in there, you tried it without the disk, and none of that worked, then you may just have to move it to the internal. You can copy a game from the external to the internal. You don't need to have the original. In this case, let's say here we have this game that is on the external drive. It really isn't, but let's make believe that it was. You would just hit triangle and then hit copy and pick the PS3 HDD option, and then it will copy it from there. Even if it's a split game, it will copy it to the HDD as a whole game. Okay, so yeah, once you do all of those methods, something will make the game work. And again, you got to make sure that you're on the right firmware, that the firmware of the game you're trying to back up and play matches the custom firmware that's installed. Thank you for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.